The first patch for Elden Ring Nightreign just dropped in here, and it's something that we were expecting, something that a lot of people wanted to have. And I'm sorry to disappoint, but while I think that to some extent things are more like viable, it's not going to change the perspective that you have from the game. Let me tell you about this perspective, because there's people that says that solo is not viable and they do not want to actually engage on what is it that the game would offer to you. I can tell you that I have completed solo playthroughs on mostly. I'm missing just a couple of bosses, but I have completed them fairly regularly. I will say, of course, that while it is doable, it's still, this is what everyone knows. It's still a game best played with friends. That is still a thing, and that is never going to change. We were hoping that was going to change with this patch, and I'm here to tell you that it's not. It really is not even close to changing that fact. So the main thing that they changed in here is that they gave you, this is huge, this is actually huge. They gave you one life, one extra life without the merchant's items, one extra life per night. So that is huge, because if you actually purchase one revival from a regular merchant, then you get the extra merchant, and then you purchase the self-revive from the final night before fighting the Night Lord, and then you have into account that you can revive once per night without having to spend those items. A single character can revive himself against boss fights run 6 times, which that is actually nuts. That's actually kind of amazing, and yes, that's like the balance that I was personally asking for. But the one that was shining with people the most is the number of runes that you will acquire through a run. The gameplay that I have for you right here in the background, this is after the new patch, and this is a run that I did to compare how different would it be from my previous runs. And I can tell you that mainly the only difference is that on the previous runs I had more lives. Here I don't, but I am not seeing like an increase on rune. And this is to some extent, I believe that even, I'm one of those people. I believe that prior to patch, the game was just fine on solo, it was doable, it was that difficult experience that you're expected to have from Software. This is a roguelike. How many times have you died on Hades? How many times have you died on all of your roguelikes? Roguelikes are usually difficult. You have to get good at them, and I'm not saying that I'm saying that you need to learn the patterns of the bosses specifically in here. If you think that Elden Ring is difficult, solo, this is even more difficult because you cannot overlevel in here. You're not allowed to do such a thing, and because of that matter, I believe that even while I do think that it was still balanced to some extent, well, not balanced, it was just the experience that I love to have. I fought all of the bosses on solo, and I loved playing on solo. I love playing with my friends. I do not like playing with randoms, so when I'm not playing with my friends, I'm playing solo matches, and I'm having fun, and I'm completing my solo matches. So that's nice. But one thing that I will say, that if they actually wanted to add runes, they should have done it properly, because this is trash. Like the amount of rune acquisition that you get in here, they tried to give you that extra rune acquisition so that you can, to some extent, pair that up on how much rune acquisition can you get on multiplayer. When you're playing on multiplayer and you're playing with your friends and you're communicating with each other and you're actually playing a properly route like you're supposed to do, and you're clearing the castle and things like that, you're doing the side events, you're killing side bosses because you have more than enough time, then you're going to end up, if you're playing properly, you're going to end up being level 15. Usually on my previous solo runs, if I went the extra mile, I got a sweaty back, I would go to level 11. On this run that I have for you right here, that I'm going to leave you to enjoy at the end of this discussion, I didn't feel like I sweated. I did feel like I ran like a maniac throughout the entirety of the map because of how separated the churches of America were. I do believe that there could be a little bit more optimization on this run, but I still was just barely, and I mean barely, able to get to level 12. I didn't actually get enough runes to purchase things that I very much need at the end. So if they wanted to give you more rune acquisition on a solo single player run, they should give you enough for you to be able to farm up to 15 without having to rush that much and without having to have that much issue. Let me give you an example on how this is so unbalanced when it comes to the solo mode and the actual multiplayer mode. If you go to a castle and you got 3 sentinels, you can clear them on a group even if you're all a whole bunch of level 5s, because you can stagger the hell out of them because of how many people are attacking them. And if you clear that castle, you're going to end up being like level 10 by the first night, and then the second night you're going to be level 15. If you go there solo, it's doable, but it's going to be a concession that you're going to want to make, because I'm talking in here from my personal experience. Maybe someone is having a bad time. I am good at fighting the R3 Sentinels because I know their patterns, I know how they fight, and because I know how they fight, I know that every time that they swing on the second phase, they are going to use their tail. That's something that I need to dodge, and then I get a chance, if I'm lucky enough, of 1 swing, maybe 2 if I get greedy and get like a hit in the face, and maybe not be hit in the face by like an inch, dude. So it's not viable for a single player to go farm the castle on the early levels, and sometimes not even on higher levels if you don't have proper weapons that are going to stagger those R3 sentinels. So it's very difficult still for a single player experience to reach level 15. On this run that I have for you right in here, I don't feel that anything has changed runes wise. What I do appreciate, and I do think that's something that was needed, because it was just something idiotic that on multiplayer you get the chance to be reviving your comrades, and single players you're just effed. Like every time that you die, you're just effed. You do have the self revivals, but that's an item that you have to be actively looking for. I think that now being able to have 3 lives, not only 1 but 3 lives, if you're picking up those actual things from the merchants, it's the equivalent of having 3 people fighting against 1 boss. And that is not necessarily even the same case, because you have to take into account that in multiplayer everyone has the same amount of Estus. So 3 players have, for example, if they manage to get like their 7 charges, they have 21 charges and 3 lives against 1 boss. Whereas if you're playing single player, you just have the 7 charges and 3 lives. But yeah, the 3 lives are very appreciated and they actually do a whole bunch of things. But if you're thinking that you're going to level up faster as a solo experience thanks to this patch, you're not. I don't think that they did enough on the rune acquisition for this to be balanced to what you can achieve on multiplayer. I think that they need to increase or tweak it more. If you like the content, a like and a video super appreciated. Not told you today you're a gorgeous and beautiful person. You are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. Subscribe to the channel, join Discord. Have a beautiful day and enjoy the rest of the video.